When there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them. They need you.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet's Pop Culture Justice. I am Andy Signor, and I'm here with It's Kim. How you doing, Kim?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Happy Monday. Thank you for having me.
Happy Monday, indeed. Sad Steph is no longer here in studio. I'm by myself again, but oh my gosh, we had such a fun week. Steph did get home safely, and she's resting today after all the travel. Can't even imagine, but we miss you, Steph. Thank you for all the fun shows this week. But we got Kim back. So happy to have you. I dropped a link for Lewis. I see you in the chat, Lewis. You're welcome to join us as well. We have some good Johnny Depp news that I thought we'd lean in today on our live. We got to focus on the positive, guys.
Yes.
And some good Johnny Depp win. A huge win regarding Sauvage. Sauvage. Wait, I have the angle for this. Sauvage. See? It's my Sauvage angle. That's what I'm calling it.
We need a Popcorn Planet right? fragrance now, apparently.
It's not sausage, it's Sauvage. But I can attest as an owner of Sauvage, I don't know if I'm saying it wrong, but that's how I pronounce it. Smells really damn good, by the way. Not only does it smell damn good, but oh my gosh, Johnny Depp was literally like the savior for Christian Dior, with Sauvage sales working very, very well. We have all the details. Pretty much, like, it sounds like a game changer for him. It did hugely well. We have the financial documents here that we can sort of go through to show Sauvage saw very strong growth, confirmed its position as the world's best-selling fragrance across all categories. That's pretty massive.
That's huge. That is incredible.
Building on the brand's excellent momentum has set ambitious leadership targets that will enrich its iconic line. Sauvage and the Miss Dior, Rogue Dior, J Adore, were other ones. Prestige all did well, but it was specifically, strong growth in perfumes, the continued global success of Dior's Sauvage. Wait, I got to do it again. Sauvage. Once again, was the world leader of last year regarding cologne, perfume. Bravo. I got to give a round of applause. You got to remember, folks, not a lot of people were standing by Mr. Johnny Depp when all this was going down, but Dior never held back. They always had his back. You saw the campaigns, the commercials were out there, the Instagram. They did well, banking on Johnny and selling his fragrance, and then leaning into it and making sure they actually did commercials and marketing. Apparently, also rumors say he had already signed a 7-figure deal after the trial to continue this going forward, and seeing these now financial sales results coming in from this call, it sure looks like that'll happen. And here's what. So basically, CEO Bernard Arnault, during the January 26th presentation for their 2022 financial report, did the Sauvage. Now I got to do it. It's a thing now. Sauvage was a leader in perfume sales over the course of the year, achieving remarkable success that was driven by the image of Johnny Depp. That was straight from the CEO's mouth. You've probably seen the ads. That's working very well. 22 highlight section of the financial report. Sauvage was the only fragrance listed under strong growth from perfumes. Report states that the continued global success of Dior's Sauvage, once again, world leader in 2022, was a main point of success. The other beauty-related highlight mentioned was a highly remarkable rebound for Sephora, which confirmed its place as world leader in distribution of beauty products. Dior Beauty has kept Depp as the face since his 2015 launch. Even when he was dropped by both Disney and Warner, they kept him around. They believed in him. They stood by him. They allowed due process to happen. And that's why I am here without being paid promoting Sauvage, because they stand by their man. And we gotta give props to people who stand by their men and wait for the actual evidence and due process to happen, and not just jump into the guilty until proven innocent train. Are you impressed with Dior here? And are you satisfied to see that they actually got the money back in leaning in and supporting Mr. Depp? What do you think, Kim?
Absolutely. I kind of had an inkling when we had that article come out talking about him getting the 7-figure deal, because normally beauty brands will not do that unless they know they're getting their money back. And Dior is quite a luxury brand and has a lot of prestige associated with it. So they weren't going to make that call unless it benefited them greatly. And now we're seeing the evidence of that benefit.
It's massive. I mean, these results, the earnings report, as you go through it all, it definitely. I was looking for the other page, but anyway, it's hard to deny as you go through all the. They did well, and then for them to highlight, because they could easily do well, support Johnny, you know what I mean, Kim, and then still not make a point to mention it. But the fact that they made a point in their calls and earnings and stuff to single him out, and that the CEO in the presentation was like, no, huge deal. That was Johnny Depp's image and supporting of Sauvage is really encouraging to see. So it's nice to see that the brands are starting to come back around. I hope Disney's next. I hope Disney realizes the errors of their ways and start getting those alpaca farms ready so they can breed as many as they need to get Mr. Depp back in. So that's what I'm banking for. So we have the good news today, Kim. I always start with the good news because, we have some bad news. With the yin, there comes the yang. While Johnny's, not commenting, he's living his best life. He's making huge sales because the truth finally came out and becoming the poster child for Sauvage. We have here now, of course, AH. Well, actually, her lawyer is out there. Her lawyer's out there doing some PR spin. Never again should women like Amber Heard be silenced by a legal system that dismisses them as liars and gold diggers. Devastating critique by the actress's lawyer in the wake of her battle with Johnny Depp. Oh, you ready for this, Kim? I don't even want to read this, but man, this is the other side of the coin. So while Johnny's selling, Amber can't just take accountability and move on. No, she has to have her whole team always go out there and victimize her some more because, yep, that's how she does this. Liar! The word was shouted over and over as our car pulled into the side entrance of the Royal Courts of Justice in London. The crowd of Johnny Depp fans pushed up against the vehicle, jostling for a glimpse of his ex-wife. It was an open morning of what was billed as the libel trial of the century. Depp was suing The Sun for defamation for calling him a WB. He claimed Amber had lied about the DV and she said she had suffered during the relationship. As a human rights barrister, I was representing Amber as she gave evidence in the support of the newspaper's case. We could hear the crowd before we could see them, bellowing, yelling, booing, boo! You gotta love when you do an opinion piece and you have to see all these ads in between. I think there's something telling me how to lose belly fat while I'm going through this. What a weird place to do this op-ed, and nonetheless, here it is. Among them were grown men dressed as Johnny Depp, or at least as his screen character, Jack Sparrow and Edward Scissorhands. They had taken up his cause as if they were his own. They held up hand-drawn placards, Men Too, Gold Digger, Amber Lies, Amber... Yeah, this all seems like facts. Good for those guys out there pushing the truth out, because they had all the evidence. They listened to the audio tapes. Scroll, scroll, scroll. In Johnny Depp, it was they saw the victim of cancel culture, supposedly obsessed with bringing white masculinity down. He was not just someone suing in costly defamation proceedings with a huge legal team and a PR campaign of the kind very few people can afford. Well, Amber could afford. She had $7 million, Kim, didn't she? She clearly afforded it. What is this? Oh, well, he can afford it. She clearly could afford it too. That, children's hospital money that she was supposed to donate that she instead put towards lawyers, The actor had somehow become an everyman and unfairly accused and subject to the same witch hunt that had seen the demise of every guy who had made an off-color office joke since Me Too. Oh my God, the eye rolls in this article. I can't even begin. Every man who had been sacked for coming onto the junior woman at work or making inappropriate comments. They saw their own ex-wives in custody battles and the child support they had been forced to pay. Oh my God. Oh God, this is vile. This is just disgusting. Oh, maybe they sympathized with Depp when they learned he had sent messages to Elton John calling his ex-wife and mother of his children, Vanessa Paradis, a French extortionist. See you next Tuesday. A word, by the way, that they use in England very lovingly, mind you. But hey, whatever. Maybe Steph called me it like all week long. She calls like the HR people. They all do it. It's like a thing in certain parts of Europe. But anyway, I digress. Maybe they agreed with his text calling women HOWREs and wishing ruin and death on Amber, his ex. They all saw this in Johnny Depp. To them, he was an anti-establishment hero, the kind so convincingly played in movies. Yeah, that's what it was, Kim. When I saw the text to Bettany, I was like, man, what an anti-establishment hero. I must stand behind him. No, I didn't like the text. We've all said we didn't like the text, but I understood the context of the text. He was angry. He was speaking to a friend in private. Doesn't make it right. But so now we're going to define him by what he said in private. I would love to see Amber's text and what she wrote people in private. Oh, but wait, Kim, we didn't get those texts, did we? Instead, we weirdly, sneakily got all of Johnny's texts released. Sketchily, by the way, still trying to figure out how that went down. All his stuff got revealed, but Amber didn't want to reveal her texts. Don't you find that strange, Kim? Do you think there would have been something juicy there?
I mean, it was very convenient.
There it is. Very convenient.
Yep.
Sorry, I tried to sneak in a cracker, and then she didn't talk more.
Sorry. In the words of Camille, it was very convenient. Yeah.
All right, there it is. Anyway, that anti-establishment hero that he so convincingly played, all the, like Sweeney Todd and Ed. I'm trying to think of there's so many he has. Anyway, I had worked on cases that had drawn a crowd before, including representing WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, but I'd never seen anything like this. Celebrity fandom and misogyny converged. I reached out to squeeze Amber's hand. Careful, she might sue you. It was 2020. 4 years since she had gotten DV restraining order against Depp from a California judge. The same one where she said she didn't call the press, but then clearly called the press, and then walked out the front door when there were secret celebrity exits that she could have used and been more conspicuous. No, I didn't want a scene. Oh, okay, gotcha. That same one, just making sure. But anyway, Amber had never detailed the V that she had suffered during a relationship with Depp, nor did she ever want to. But because she didn't want to be caught lying, but then she got caught lying. Before Depp's defamation claim, Amber only told a judge in California enough detail about the V to obtain the original restraining order back in 2016, long before Me Too went viral. Once she got the order, she had no interest in talking about it again until she wrote an op-ed piece. She had signed a non-disclosure agreement and as part of her divorce that prevented her from doing so. It was only after Me Too that Depp would sue. So they're not even going to say... They're not even going to write the fact that she just said she didn't want to talk about it, Kim. Wait, I'm confused. She doesn't want to talk about it, but she wants to write op-eds about it.
Can we just highlight that one part of the article that just says, and she had signed a non-disclosure agreement?
Yep.
Period.
Oh, but Kim, those keep women...
She violated an NDA.
They are overused, and women can't then speak their minds, even though they have every right to not sign said NDA.
But that was what she agreed to.
Exactly. No, the non-disclosure was hiding the abuse. Bullshit. Bullshit. This was about not talking about it because you took the money. You don't get to go take the money and then sign an agreement that you don't have. You're not forced to sign. You agree. He stops talking. You say you don't want to talk. Oh, but wait, I'm going to write an op-ed piece as Me Too blows up. Okay, cool. It was only after Me Too that Depp would sue. Yeah, you mean only after she went against her own words and wrote an op-ed piece after saying she wouldn't talk about it. And she wasn't even allowed to talk about it. Got it, but they ignored that part. Good job, lawyer. In 2018, Depp sued The Sun over an article which had questioned J.K. Rowling's decision to cast Depp in her film franchise, given that Amber had been granted a restraining order by a judge in Rowling's support for Me Too. Depp was claiming more than $300,000 in damages and an injunction to prevent The Sun from ever reporting he was a WB again, which would also stop other media reporting it. He would also later sue Amber in the United States too, claiming $50 million in damages, more than enough to bankrupt Amber. Her legal costs were crippling. No, her insurance company covered. Well, actually, she didn't have to pay for The Sun. Yeah. Let's be clear. I love how they do this. She didn't have to claim for The Sun, and her insurance companies paid for it. So, nice try. He had vowed to take revenge on her after she left him, as he wrote in text messages to his agent. She's begging for total global elimination. She's going to get it. I mean, look, it does sound bad, but in the scheme of things, as we saw it all, she knew what was going to happen. She said, "Who's going to believe you, Johnny?" Well, he's like, fine, I'm going to put it all out there. I'm going to humiliate myself too, just to expose you because you are begging for it. You will not stop, even though we agreed and I moved on. We moved on. I gave you so many chances to move on. You will not move on. Well, then, yeah, it sounds like you were begging for it. I can't say he's lying there. So it continues. Following revelations about Hollywood producer Weinstein's, the Me Too movement went viral. At its core, Me Too is about survivors speaking out and finding solidarity in one another. In a culture of shame and silence where survivors are kept isolated from each other, speaking out is a powerful act. Amber's not a survivor. She even claims she doesn't want to be a survivor or a victim. She gets mad when people call her one, but okay, you can say she is when it suits her. In a sense, Me Too movement is a response to legal systems that do not serve women and girls, either because the laws are inadequate or because the response to the legal system to victims and survivors is flawed. Only 14% of SV victims report the... Okay, what does this have to do with her? I love how they use the real stuff to try to prop up Amber when she just was a liar. Anyway, SVR reported prosecution and convictions remain depressingly low. Like, there is facts to this. Amber aside, there's a lot of facts and it sucks. I'm not going to lie about any of that, but I hate when they use all this to try to say that's why she's the victim. Even smaller, again, is the number of men who actually are convicted in the UK. Less than 1% of our cases result in conviction, but something has been happening as a reaction to the Me Too movement. Women have been empowered to break their silence. They have faced a different kind of silencing, the silencing of those who speak out by and through the law. The spike in the number of survivors speaking out has been followed in a spike of legal actions against them and the journalists who want to report their stories, and defamation and contract and privacy and breach of contract. What on earth are you talking about? You are allowed to write this article, and looks like the Sun was allowed to write their article, even though they shouldn't have been. It was a lie. The hell is this nonsense? She spoke up. She's kept speaking up. Johnny had enough. He did it through the law. A jury of peers heard all the evidence and found her guilty. They said she was a liar, that the evidence didn't make sense. What are we supposed to do now? So now every case is bullshit because Amber lied? My God, when are they going to realize Amber is not helping the movement? She's the problem, not Johnny. By far the most common legal question we have seen used against women who have spoken out or reported gender-based is the libel suit. Defamation law allows a person to sue for damage caused to the reputation. Wow, Kim, are you surprised that the lawyer who pleads these cases doesn't want to have any doubt when a case comes up? I mean, the bias here is insane. The lawyer who does these cases and is now representing the liar wants the world to be like, enough of this. Can you believe it? When women speak out, we can't sue them and win. Oh my goodness. Why can't they just always win, Kim? All women should always win if they go against a powerful man. Are you seeing the bias here in this article?
I think we could see the bias from space. It's ridiculous. I think the biggest thing for me whenever we go over this over and over again is the jury sided with Johnny. And they sided with Johnny for no reason but Amber Heard herself. She contradicted herself on that stand. She lied on that stand. She lied in the British trial, in the UK trial. She lied, and the judge believed her. But the things that he believed her on were then outed in the US trial to be lies. The things that made her a credible witness were discredited, and it was exposed as lies. That's why she lost. That's it. And that's the thing. You can't go to court, say something is true, then have it disproven, and then be like, it's a conspiracy. I lost. It's not fair. You lied.
Yeah, I mean,
but we're not going to talk about that.
the problem is, like, yeah, sometimes it's a he said, she said. It is. But the problem is there was a lot of evidence here that proved he was telling the truth and she was hiding things. And that was the problem, right? It all is about credibility. And there are cases and things where it's not fair to the victim. I'm sure that happens way more than it should. But in this case, it all came out. She kept saying mountains and mountains of evidence. Where? Oh, the one where you told your therapist one thing once, the person you're paying who just heard you say something that you could be lying about. That proves nothing. That proves nothing. There's so many lies she got caught up in, and there's still the Australian charges where she can face perjury. The UK case, a lot of scrutiny now coming forward. Like, well, wait a second. Why did this judge go there so easily? It's shocking. It's shocking. Hold on, there it is. For lawyers, we have seen this practice and watched it happen around the world. The courts have become the battlefield where judges grapple with competing rights. A woman's right to speak about gender-based ABUSC and a man's right to reputation. What? How dare that man have a right to a reputation that's honest and truthful? How dare they? All women speaking about men are guilty. I mean, all women, you know what I meant. All women who accuse men, the men are guilty, always. Always. There's no nuance. There's no question. There's no gray area. The man is always guilty. Always. For lawyers who understand media law, it came as no surprise that Depp chose to sue in London, where defamation law is notoriously pro-claimant. Now, that's true. He did smart there. He did. But it backfired, didn't it? Didn't really help him, did it? The Sun's article wasn't the first to report on the claims made against him, but the actor and his lawyers chose the Sun as a defendant, a tabloid that they perhaps thought would be unlikely to arouse sympathy of much of the public or fellow celebrities or Hollywood executives. Amber was merely a witness, asked by the Sun to give evidence to help them prove she had not lied about the ABUSC she suffered. Soon after he sued, Depp's PR came and kicked into gear. GQ magazine's reported he had hired crisis management firm Hawthorne, which acts for exceptionally wealthy clients who call if there's no one else to call. Its staff there were wolfmen, fixers, public management, adjustment specialists. Well, yeah, that just only shows how bad his reputation was. Didn't they just try to claim that it wasn't bad, his reputation? They're trying to claim it wasn't bad, but now he had to hire the people who only call if there's it's which is it? Was his reputation shit or not? Because if his reputation's that bad, it makes sense that he have to go pay for the really good PR firm to try to help offset the negative press and the lies that they were peddling, because we've all come to learn the media lies. They don't always tell the truth. In the lead up to the UK trial, there was a full-scale effort to paint Amber as a liar, because she is, and Depp as the nice guy victim. The well-known tactic to deny attacks and reverse the role of victim and offender, or DARVO for short. That's what it is. So they just switch it. I remember Eve Barlow and everyone was and Michelle Dauber. DARVO. Deny, attack, and reverse the role of the victim. That's what an offender. That's what that means. So deny the attack. That's what Amber did. Amber literally denied the attacks that she did, tried to reverse it on Johnny, and then played the victim. She literally was the example of DARVO, and it was all on audio tape. There was no doubt about it. Celebrity friends gave statements in support of Depp, including his ex-wife, the one that he just tried to say he called out. Well, she still came out to support him, which is pretty telling, because if he was the monster they kept painting, wouldn't she either say nothing or, shit on him? She didn't. That was not the true Johnny she knew. Winona Ryder, another ex, impossible to believe. Though significantly, neither she nor Paradise appeared in the court, which would have allowed them to be cross-examined. It was later reported that Ryder had hired a former U.S. prosecutor to block the use of her testimony. Meanwhile, I don't remember that. Meanwhile, the sea of online trolls targeted Amber as her lawyers or journalists reporting on the case. We were flooded with what appeared to be bot-generated emails and tweets saying that we had been associating with a criminal. Oh, here it is. So here's where Boozy comes in. I bet you this is when Boozy steps up to, it's all bots. It's all bots, I'm sure. I'm sure it was bots. It was a sophisticated campaign. It targeted everyone who had been pictured with Amber, tweeted about Amber, or tweeted about being at an event with Amber. Not just with tweets, but with emails addressed to their workplace. Colleague after colleague forwarded me identical tweets and emails they'd received. Amber and I had spent 2 years gathering evidence to corroborate her allegations. Photos, text with stuff we all saw in the trial, and it didn't work. Medical records, witness evidence. She had, in my view, far more evidence than most victims. Meanwhile, Depp's entire case was nearly struck out because of his repeated failures to disclose relevant evidence. Oh, God, this is such bullshit. It was only by accident. Yeah, here it is. It was by accident that his legal firm disclosed 70,000 of Depp's personal texts, including the now infamous text between Depp and Paul Bettany, joking about wanting to drown and burn Amber and her corpse. The stage was set. He was a powerful, much-loved movie star, calling her a liar. She was the younger woman who left him. Bullshit, she left him. Got a restraining order. Bullshit. And was trying to get on her with her career. Bullshit. She said he was violent. He denied it. Who was to be believed? The judge had to decide. Had the Sun published things about Depp that were true, and by extension, had Amber told the truth about his DV? It was one thing for Depp and his supporters to make all kind of claims in the media and online, but it was another for them to make in court, where a judge would decide. At the Royal Court of Justice, I sat with Amber and her sister through 16 days of evidence. I watched as she and Depp were cross-examined over 14 separate instances of V, including SV, which was heard in close court. They were never allowed to cross Amber, by the way, for the record. Yeah. They weren't. That was the problem with this case, right? Johnny Depp and his team weren't allowed to question Amber. It was all in the Sun's favor. Another reason why this was such a bullshit result. But they're trying to paint, Amber's lawyers trying to paint it as if it was definitive. I watched as Depp's defense use all the old gendered tropes. She lied, she nagged him, she picked fights. You mean the ones on audio tape where she did those things?
Or the ones where she allegedly cut off his finger?
Yeah, seriously. Where a doctor even admitted it. she was not the real victim. Much of Depp's case was irrelevant to the central question: had he hit her? There was certainly evidence of his violence. No, but he never did. There was no evidence he did. None. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Not a one. In a recording. And if there was, he would have lost. If there was evidence, Kim, if there was evidence of him doing it, he would have lost here as well. But there was never any. There wouldn't even been a court trial. He would have had to own it, apologize. There was no evidence. There was none. The judge just deemed it, oh, I'll believe her. And then he had the Judge Nichols in the UK ignored like blatant lies and just wouldn't even care. Anyway, we've gone and you guys all know. In a recording that was discovered and submitted as evidence, Depp said this: I headbutted you in the effing forehead that doesn't break a nose. Amber's evidence was that he had headbutted her, leaving her with a bruising and suspected broken nose, and the recording supported this.
Wasn't that the door incident?
Yes, and notice they're not mentioning any of the attacks that Amber did. It's unreal. And also, the lawyer can write this because the lawyer is allowed to lie. Is the lawyer still allowed to lie? That's an interesting question. Like, it seems like we're not on trial right now. This is now an op-ed. Is the lawyer allowed to? Interesting. In Depp's witness statement, he claimed he had not touched her and she was uninjured. When confronted with the recording in court, Depp conceded he had headbutted her, but now claimed it was accidental. When pressed about why, if that were true, he had not included that in his written statement, he claimed that he had not read his own statement. It was all too much information for him, and he blamed his lawyers for the factual error. The reaction among the lawyers in the courtroom was palpable. It was a huge blow to Depp's credibility. Of course, there was a problem with Depp's answer, as the judge would abruptly remind him he had been asked about the offset as evidence to confirm that he had read his witness statements if they were true, and it was not. Meanwhile, Amber asked all of her assistants to forge things, and she was caught doing so, but somehow, well, she wasn't under oath, so we'll let her slide. She's allowed to lie under oath. I mean, no, when she's not under oath. 4 months later, the judgment arrived in the inquiry. I quickly scrolled through the 129 pages Mr. Justice found for what the Sun had published was substantially true. He found that there was sufficient evidence to support his Amber's account in 12 of the 14, not the SV, mind you, of violence pleaded by the newspaper. I immediately called Amber to give her the good news. She had been vindicated. It was a big win for Amber and for all women, setting an important precedent that would deter the powerful from suing to silence. The Sun ran a triumphant headline in front page. On behalf of DV survivors, we can now confirm that he is a WB. The scumbags. The outcome was hailed by DV charities. After a trial which exemplified tactics used to silence and discredit victims, the largest DV service said the ruling was a very powerful message. Power, fame, and financial resources cannot be used to silence women, but the judge can employ his son at other places that the son employs. There's no corruption there, folks. No. Depp's lawyers protested what they called a perverse and bewildering decision, but his appeal was rejected. Depp supporters and online trolls went into meltdown. Wild claims were made about the judge and about me. Thousands signed petitions calling for the judge to be sacked, claiming he was biased and had conflicts of interest. He did.
He did, though.
It was just another online misinformation campaign that bore no relationship to reality. Okay. The judgment had restored my faith about the progress that I had been made and how women are treated in courts, not in the media and the outline. Surely no one could doubt her now, I thought to myself. How wrong I was. Amber continued to face suspicion and online attacks. The online noise attacking her drowned out the fact that the British court had determined she was a survivor. This one judge already said it. The whole case is thrown out. It doesn't matter that Johnny never got to cross-examine her. None of that matters about what's justice. One judge in the UK, whose son worked for the same publication company, he decided, so therefore the whole conversation is done. Why are we still having this? Then came the U.S. trial. 2 years later, on the same set of facts, same outdated arguments were run again, this time before a jury, which is far more better than in one lone judge who could be biased. Depp was suing Amber for an opinion piece she wrote for the Washington Post. In it, Amber did not name Depp or use any underlying factual allegations of V, but wrote from experience about how women who speak out need to be supported in law, better support. First of all, she didn't write it. Let's be clear. If you're going to tell the truth, the ACLU wrote it. She just signed it at the end, but then it became hers because she put her name on it. Dummy. Because she wanted some attention. Scrolling through. Depp had lost the defamation case in the UK, a jurisdiction that is notoriously pro-claimant. It should have been more difficult for Depp to win in the US, where the burden of proof fell on him rather than on the defendant. By rights, she should have won. But oh wait, he got a chance to actually ask her on the stand, though, didn't he? And that's where things really fell apart. Based on the evidence and supposedly more stringent free speech protection in the U.S. But after a trial streamed live on YouTube, the jury found out against Amber. It decided Amber had defamed Depp, that she had lied, and that she had done so with malice. That's key. They had awarded him $10 million in damages and $5 million in punitive damages. Jury also found that Depp had defamed Amber, though the statements of his lawyer claiming that her allegations were a hoax through his lawyer, $2 million. I believe the outcome was absurd, and the consequences have been even worse than could have been imagined for Amber and women everywhere, and the fallout has been global. After seeing what happened to Amber, lawyer colleagues around the world have said their clients are worried about taking action. Some decided not to go ahead. Others report, second guess people from lying. Others reported that abusive partners were threatening them, saying that an Amber and no one would believe them. In the face of all this, there remain many important questions. What message does all this send to women who might actually want to speak out? How many women will speak out if this is how they will be treated? How many more women will watch this case and think, I can't go through that? How many women now feel unable to confide in family members about their experience? This is so sickening. This is so sickening that she's spinning all this to all the survivors who are going to have doubts because they didn't believe they didn't believe Amber. Oh my God, this spin makes me want to vomit. She doesn't get to define the victimhood. Not all victims stand with her. How many women are now silenced? How many more women will be sued and silenced? How do we make sure the law is balanced and fair, that it protects the presumption of innocence, which it didn't with Johnny, privacy and reputation, while holding women's rights to live a life free from violence? How about Johnny? Is he allowed to live that too? Or is he going to constantly be hit by Amber?
Presumption of innocence and privacy and reputation? Because he certainly did not.
He doesn't get that right, Kim. No, he's a man. How many women have to suffer before this cultural narrative shifts away from the oldest tricks in the book, calling women liars, gold diggers, and HOWRES? These are the questions that we believe we all need to start asking, and our lawmakers need to start debating. Yeah, bull. I'm calling bull on this whole thing. What an awful spin by Jennifer Robinson and Dr. Kina Yosha, authors of How Many More Women? How many more women, Kim, will it take until Amber is believed?
Honestly, here's how I view it. I consider myself a feminist, and my definition of feminism is about equality. It's not saying that women are better than men, that we should have preferential treatment, or that men should be treated better than women. I believe in equality. And men and women are both capable of perpetrating ABUSC. Whatever, whatever sex you were born as or whatever, it has nothing to do with your ability to not hurt another person. You know what I'm saying, Andy? It doesn't matter. I am in favor of survivors being able to have their day to say what they need to say if they so choose to go down that route. But the bottom line is, the reason we're here is because she violated an NDA. She violated a legal document that she agreed to. And that's why there was a court case. That has nothing to do with gender. Nothing. If any one of us signed an NDA and we broke that NDA, we open ourselves up to legal risk. End of discussion. Don't violate an NDA.
Well, don't lie.
And that too. And again, could Amber have won that case if she didn't lie on the stand? Quite possibly. I'm gonna say that. I think she quite possibly could have. But I think she sealed her own fate. And I mean, that's really what a lot of legal experts thought going into this. They assumed that Amber would win because proving innocence in a defamation case is very difficult. It's a very hard type of case to win. Even going through it, I wasn't sure. And I went into this neutral, completely neutral. And it became painfully obvious. And I think that's why you had parts of the internet, you had all quote unquote law tube all being no, Johnny didn't do this. You have to actually look at the evidence. This doesn't make any sense. So if you've got a jury and you've got a general public that sees all the evidence and we all came to the same conclusion for the most part, why is this still a debate?
Yeah. That's a really important part because it's like so many people who actually watch the trial, and I know this because we covered it very closely, most of LawTube, et cetera, they didn't have a side because they hadn't really watched or paid attention. The truth is we were one of a few channels, Laura B and others, that actually were in the loop and covering it before it went down. But it was just amazing to see everybody in real time be like, oh, whoa, wait, what? Because even I was reporting on stuff that was old news. We were coming out with old audio clips and things to sort of to go against what was being said there because it was out there and we knew all this, the truth and the evidence. And she just didn't think it was going to get televised. She really didn't think it was going to get televised. And she in her own words, who's going to believe you, Johnny? No one's going to believe you. She really thought she had the whole world on her side as a woman, and it doesn't matter what you say, I'm going to win. And that's just her whole persona. When you listen to those audio tapes, she's controlling. It's sick. It is sickening to listen to her gaslight him. Like it's terrifying to listen. And I the ones where she admits the ABUSC are terrible, but I still got so triggered by when she wouldn't let him leave the car. Like, and he's literally like calmly trying to like rationalize with her to like, can I please leave this car? No, don't leave me. You're killing me, Johnny. Like, it was scary listening to that audio tape. Like, she's got issues. And you hear like how toxic that relationship was, how they couldn't even have a conversation, and how she would ridicule him for leaving arguments, which is that goes against her all argument that he was this violent guy always trying to hit her. Literally, we had audio tape after audio tape of him admitting, can I please leave? I would like to walk away. Can I please leave? No, you're killing me, John. It was like, it was unbelievable. He's trying to go see his daughter, and then Camille like plays it to her. I remember that moment of the trial, and her head just, I knew he was going to go use again. He was just about to be, she was, it was all speculation on her own part. She's just bullshitting. He was going to go use. That's why he went in there. And I knew he'd come out as the monster. Meanwhile, she's recording everything, Kim, but never records the monster, except for one time a video she does illegally, like very questionably, that she sells to TMZ, where he's learned he's lost like, $500 million. A
lot of money.
From his accountants. And he decides to wreck his kitchen. And she puts herself in the danger. He didn't do it around her. He didn't do it near her. He didn't do it at her. He's literally pissed, breaking his kitchen. And look, could he have been better? Should he have acted better? Sure. She walks into the be and then decides to like be part of the carnage. For a woman who's so terrified, why would you walk into that and not run away from it? Instead, she's snickering and smiling and Johnny, I caught you. It was gross. And that was the reality of it all. So to see the lawyers still out there trying to play this card. I mean, if anything, I just think the lawyer's just trying to get other women out there as clients to be like, don't worry, even if you want to lie, we'll go after that man. We'll get all his money. Fuck him. You know what I mean? That's how it feels like to me. This happens. It does happen. It goes the other way. Maybe not as often, whatever, but it does happen. And I'm so disgusted by these people still trying to prop her up as the example of, oh, now all women won't be believed. They're not going to be believed because she lied. She lied. That's the problem here. And it's so irritating, given that everybody who watched and came in blindly saw it unfold to their own eyes. Now there's still a faction of people who are trying to paint it like she's a victim when she herself told Savannah Guthrie, I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim. Well, which is it, Amber? Final thoughts on this before I clip it, Kim?
I think the big thing is, in my mind, when I look back at this trial, I think about the evidence. I look at those audio tapes. One thing that rings true in my mind is Johnny saying there can be no physical violence. Amber berating him for leaving and him saying, I'm not trying to avoid the fight. I'm trying to escape the fight. Because he didn't want them to hurt each other. And then her response to him saying, I'm sorry, I didn't hit you with a proper, like it was a proper slap thing, and her dismissing the, what she did to him, and then screaming, you're such a baby. She said it herself. She did it to herself. She lied.
You're such a baby. Oh my God, what a horrific, awful woman. No, you don't get to stand up for victims.
No.
Nope. And this lawyer is deplorable as well. Good riddance. And good thing none of it matters because Johnny Depp's winning, living his best life. Got away from this toxic witch. Bye-bye, Amber. Maybe figure out how to pay all the money that you owe him. Or at least the charities. Forget him. How about paying, all the pledges you have to make up? Because that was a lot of money you had in pocket that you didn't spend. Oh, wait, I'm going to spend it. Oh, wait, but I have to use the trial. Oh, but wait, you had the money for a whole 13 months before he sued you. Very weird. She just was to save that money, Kim, apparently. Because, she's honest. She doesn't lie ever. She pledged it. I mean, she's going to do it. Yeah, right. I wouldn't bet on a children's hospital. Ugh, disgusting.
Yeah.
If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell for all alerts. Make sure you hit all alerts. We got more to talk about here. We are going to talk about it all, but smash that like button. Leave a comment. If you're watching live, how have you not smashed the like button? And if you're watching on the replay, hit that join. We got a lot more show we're going to go through. A lot more news, a lot more stuff. So pick a tier, hit the join, become a member, and you'll be supporting the channel, our coverage. And we could use the help because YouTube isn't always very friendly to us. Also, make sure you go support It's Kim on YouTube. Go subscribe to her as well. We got lots more coming on the replay. But if you're watching live, don't go anywhere. We're just getting started. Ha ha!